Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comic review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you the biggest and best books that are releasing this week to your local comic book store, whether that is Infinity Flux, which is right here, infinityflux.net, which is right there, and everywhere. That's how the internet works, right. I believe. It's everywhere. Or your local comic book store. We want to make sure you are well informed about what is coming out. Mm-hmm. That way, when you go in, there's no confusion. You know exactly what you're going in there to grab, and you will have no regrets.
No regrets at all.
No regrets.
Unless you do.
Unless you do, but...
It won't be our fault.
It won't be our... This is our way to get it off our conscience if you are disappointed.
Yep.
But we've got a great show. This is a fifth Wednesday of the month, which usually means... in the past, it's been a lot of annuals, some minor number ones, from smaller publishers, some number ones, that kind of thing. Not this time.
Not this week.
They have chosen to have a lot of big stuff, some stuff that actually has, impact on the main series.
Yep.
Or, we've got a couple of Ultimate books, so don't be skipping out this week going to your comic book store or infinityflux.net because... you're going to not want to miss out on some of this stuff. Oh,
for sure. Absolutely.
So let's get it started.
Yeah, we are going to start with the Justice League Dark Tomorrow special. So this is written by Mark Waid and Mark Guggenheim. The art is by Cian Tormey. This is a one-shot that deals with some of the fallout from the We Are Yesterday crossover. It even says on the bottom, I think it says We Are Yesterday Aftermath on the bottom here. So the overall gist of this book is that there are various time travelers who have been targeted, and in the first few pages we see the deaths of some of them. That's not a spoiler, that happens at the very beginning of the book. That's what sets up this whole story. But we see the deaths of characters like Wave Rider, Extant, and Epoch at the hands of these monstrous Omega demons, and they look like just these little these black shadowy demons with the Omega symbol where their face should be. And but there's this other helmeted time traveler whose identity we don't know. We never find that out in this book, but they call themselves Legend. That's the name they go by in this book. And that character is able to get to the Watchtower and warn the Justice League about what's going on. The time travelers are being targeted for death. The time stream is in jeopardy, that kind of thing. So Legend and Mr. Terrific put together a team consisting of Airwave, Amazing Man, Batman Beyond, Marilyn Moon Knight, The Huntress, Jonah Hex, Gold Beetle, and Plastic Man to travel around through time and save the various time travelers who are being targeted. And they use Legend's ship, the Wave Rider, to find them. And they even make a point to say, here's my ship, the Wave Rider, but it's not the same as the time traveling guy who just got killed. So from here on, we are treated to several different scenes of the team rescuing different time travelers from these Omega demons that are attacking them. It's really, really cool. It's really action-packed. Every hero gets a chance to shine in these battles. And then they arrive at the place and time from which these Omega demons are being created. But I'm not going to tell you anything more about that. That's a whole extra sequence at the end. We see where and when they're coming from, and also who is at least helping to create them. So we do get those questions answered. But by the time we get to the end of this book, it's very obvious that we are not done with these characters or this story yet. It even says, to be continued in the pages of Justice League Unlimited and also the DCKO event.
And Superman.
And Superman, that's right. So this goes a long way to plant more seeds for the DCKO event, because time is going crazy. There's Omega stuff. I don't want to say too much, but there's Omega stuff there, which that always means Darkseid is somehow involved. There's a presence or something like that. But yeah, this is a really, really good book. A lot of times with the one shots, I'm like, especially when they come after an event, usually it's it's a pretty calm book. Yeah. But no, this is action packed, fantastic artwork. I really, really, really enjoyed this a lot. And when it was over, I was like, no, I want more. I want this to be a
finished
miniseries
and I
or
was
something.
like, this needs to be like at least a 3-issue miniseries. Even this one story they told in here, I would have loved to have seen this stretched out a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that it goes by too fast, but I was enjoying these characters teamed up. They all kind of get, like Jonah Hex, like, what's he going to do? He gets a little bit of an upgrade just so he can help take on some of these Omega demons. And there's a great scene with Plastic Man, how he comes into the fight. They actually, like, after this, I was like, yeah, this is a great team of characters you would never put together.
And it felt, and I thought this while I was reading it, and you said it just a little while ago, it actually felt a lot like it could have been from the Legends of Tomorrow CW show, but better. Like, not a lot of the slapstick goofiness. Like, this is serious. I mean, there's stakes involved here. This has a lot of weight to it. But it did feel like that. A ragtag group of heroes on a wave rider traveling through time to, rescue other people. Like, it's very Legends of Tomorrow, the TV show. And the helmeted character even calls themselves Legend.
Yeah.
So, I have my own theories about who it is, but we don't know yet.
That is a fun part, is trying to figure out who is under that helmet. I like that it's not revealed at the end of the issue.
Yeah.
No spoiler there to say, like, this is going to be a character I'm sure is going to go on into other parts of this.
I think it will end up being a character that we know, though.
Yeah. But sometimes with these one-shots, it's like, well, you could skip it. I wouldn't skip this one. For multiple reasons. One, it's just a lot of fun. The art is fantastic. Great characters. But also, I feel like with the introduction of Legend and some of the stuff that's revealed towards the end, that's kind of a important piece you'll be glad you knew going into stuff in Justice League Unlimited, stuff in Superman dealing with the Dark Legion, because we know that's the next storyline, and the DC KO event. This feels like this has tendrils in all of those things.
But like you said, and my biggest reason for picking it up is it's just really good.
It's really good.
It's action-packed, great artwork. I like all the characters. They work well together. They have great interactions. They don't really bicker with each other. They work as a team. Like, everything about this is good. And I don't know how many pages this is, but it is oversized a little, I think. It's more than just a 22-page book. Oh, also, there's also a 4-page preview for the upcoming Immortal Legend Batman #1.
Yeah.
Which is the first time we've ever actually had, like, pages from that book. And so that was cool to read. Like, I want to read that too. So those 4 pages are in the back. But I really, really, really like this one a lot. And, if you're digging everything that DC is doing right now, if you're looking forward to the DC KO event, if you like the We Are Yesterday crossover, pick this up, because this connects to all that.
Yeah.
So this is our A cover right here, and we got some cool variants. This is Jorge Fornes. Booster Gold does not appear in this issue unless he's Legend, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
This is the one I got.
Oh yeah, Nathan Zerdy. That's the Gold Beetle cover, and she's really cool in that.
There's some interesting stuff going on with Gold Beetle in here as well that I kind of forgot about once I got to the end of the issue, but stuff that needs to be explored a little bit more.
This is from Fernando Blanco, and none of the main Trinity or the main heroes are in it, but that's okay because the other ones are awesome. And then we have this 1 in 25 Mark Buckingham cover that we're selling for $14.99.
Yeah, that is probably my pick of the week and the one I would most recommend people get.
Yeah.
Just
I had a lot of fun with it.
For entertainment purposes alone, but also the story that DC is currently telling right now, the big story, I'm loving on all fronts, in all the different series. So this hit all the right buttons. Well, next up, I'm going to talk about another very big one. I don't know if people have heard about it, but it is Ultimate Spider-Man. This is issue number 19.
Doesn't ring a bell. What's it about?
Spooderman?
Yeah, okay.
So there's been a lot of talk with, we just wrapped up San Diego Comic-Con, the announcement that the Ultimate line is ending with issue 25. 24.
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to say, and it does have to do with this issue, I don't think that's what you think it means. So in the previous Ultimate universe, there was, granted, Ultimate Spider-Man ran a really long time, but it did end and restart with Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. And, the Ultimates ended and became Ultimate Comics Ultimates.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be something like that because there's some stories in here that are just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this title may end. Hickman may even be off the book after that.
That's what I think. I think, Ultimate Spider-Man number 24, last issue of this series, we get the Ultimate Endgame story. And then I feel 99.9% certain we'll get new Ultimate number ones of Spider-Man, and who knows what else.
Yeah.
I think that maybe the creative teams won't stay the same, but Ultimate Spider-Man's not going anywhere. And it may not even I do feel like that once number 24 hits, we won't get a new number one until after the Ultimate Endgame event, but this isn't going anywhere.
No, it's one of Marvel's top-selling book, if not maybe their top-selling book. Marvel would not end it just for the story's sake. They'll find their way to keep it going.
Yeah.
Now, getting into this issue, because the momentum has only been building till this point. We have where we left Richard Parker in the previous issue. He kind of got tricked by the new Black Cat into a room with Kingpin and some of his goons and everything. How is he going to get out of this situation? Well, let's just say this starts with him already out of that situation, and you're really wondering what happened.
How did he get out of that?
I don't want to give it away because, part of the fun of Ultimate Spider-Man is the surprises, the big fight scenes, everything. So I'm not going to say what it is, but I do feel like it is maybe one of the biggest scenes in the series so far.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that, but another issue that people are going to be talking about going forward. This was great. Meanwhile, we do have a really interesting scene between Harry and Peter and Mole Man, who actually helped them out in the previous storyline with the Savage Land with Kraven. Mole Man actually helped get him out of there. Why? Mole Man is part of the Cabal. He is part of the
Sinister Six.
The Sinister Six. All intents and purposes, he's a big villain.
Yeah.
But maybe he doesn't necessarily like the way things are going down. And are we going to see a change of heart for Mole Man? We'll have to read to find out. But also, there is a great scene between Peter and MJ that I feel like we're finally going to get all the cards on the table. Because a lot has happened, and Mary Jane still feels a little out of the loop. And she wants to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of really fun stuff. Like I said, it's just building momentum. Yes, I'm sure Spider-Man and Richard will play a part in the Ultimate Endgame story somehow, but their story is far from over.
Oh, yeah. There's lots more.
There's a lot more. So, for people I saw the comment that came through while we were also streaming on TikTok over here, what do we think of it ending? How do you end a book unless you completely don't make any more? These characters are going to continue.
I just think it's the end of the first chapter, really.
Yeah.
We're only just getting
Volume
started.
1, Series 1 is over. There is going to be some big stuff in the future for this. I do think creative team shakeups.
Yeah.
I think maybe some retitling. Maybe some series will officially end and others begin, but I don't believe Ultimate Spider-Man, the character, is going to be absent going forward. But all that being said, there's a reason why this is the first one I talked about. You don't want to miss this issue. And if you do miss out on it, you'll be kicking yourself when people start talking about it. We'll say that. So there is your A cover. We've got, this is the cover I got. This is the Perel cover. If Mary Jane is on a cover, I will probably get that one. That's kind of how my barometer works. We've also got this 1 in 25 Ben Sue variant. We're selling for $11.99. And this is July in the Ultimate Universe.
Right.
So they're out at the beach.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I am going to stay in the Ultimate Universe, and we're going to talk about Ultimates number 14 from Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri. And this is the first appearance of this universe's version of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch and also a couple of other well-known characters from Earth 616, but I won't tell you who those are.
Another reason why I don't think the Ultimate line is
Yeah,
going anywhere.
right.
Stuff that's introduced in here is like that could be its own series.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this issue starts with Captain America and Hawkeye launching an attack on a refinery owned by Roxxon, and the CEO of Roxxon pulls together the heads of other big companies that the Ultimates have either attacked or sabotaged or stolen from over the last several days and weeks, and tells them that he has a plan for how to finally stop the Ultimates. So he's got all these bigwig CEOs in a room. He's like, yeah, I know how to stop him, but it's going to cost, but it's definitely worth it. So I'm not going to tell you how this happens because it would spoil a couple of things, but through circumstances, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch do wind up at the refinery that Captain America and Hawkeye are currently attacking. And then a lot of this issue is focused on that big battle between the four of them.
And it's very creative. It's not just all punching. It's, Quicksilver's so fast. What does Captain America do strategically to stop him? And I always like that. It's more choreographed and thought through than just a punch and match.
Yeah, and because Captain America has been fairly quiet throughout this series so far, so I liked him in this using that strategy. We know he has this great strategic mind. We haven't really seen him use it much in this series so far, but he does something really cool in here. Yeah. So it was cool to see the four of them. So a lot of this issue is that four-way battle there. But there's also a little bit of corporate espionage going on with the heads of those companies that kind of teases that there might be some larger forces at work here. And of course, we know about the Maker and the Maker's Council, but there might also be something else too. Like I'm not really sure, but there's a little bit something else going on that we'll learn more about later. But yeah, this issue was really cool. I really like that, and I don't think it was a coincidence that they made this focus on Captain America and Hawkeye fighting Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, because for a long time in the early 60s, that was your Avengers team. Cap and Hawkeye, and Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. When Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch actually all three of them joined the Avengers after the other Avengers left, and it was just Cap there. So it was really cool to have the four of them back and interacting like this. And it's also cool because this issue kind of acknowledges that the public may be starting to wake up a bit in regards to what's really going on in the world around them, and they're starting to hear rumblings that things are being kept from them. That the Maker and his council, they don't know about the Maker and his council, but those guys are in charge of the media, in charge of the internet, in charge of everything. So the media has a very distorted perception of what's really going on in the world. But this hints that maybe people are starting to learn the truth. Maybe there's a new app that they can get that the Ultimates developed that maybe gives the citizens the truth. So there's more to come there too.
And there's such a big part of this that we're walking around that is kind of the core of this issue to some degree. That, like I was saying, give me more of that.
Yeah.
Because the doorway that kind of opens up, I started asking questions about then where is so and so and how's this all working? That I'm really excited for, and I feel like that if there was ever another book announced, it could be centered around the part we're not talking about.
And that's always the trouble. The tough part with these videos is like there's usually like one core thing that we have to dance around. So it's like, well, then maybe this happens, but I'm not gonna, so we just don't want to spoil it for you though. But all that to say, this is another great issue of Ultimates. We know that we are steamrolling towards Ultimate Endgame starting in October, right? Or was it December?
I thought it was October.
It was either October or December, but it'll be here before you know it. And things are really, really, really ramping up in order to get there. So we have our A cover right here, and then we have this Ferreira variant with Human Torch. He is not he is not in this at all. And then we have this nice In-Hyuk Lee cover with Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch.
They seem pretty young in this.
They do seem young.
Especially Quicksilver kind of seems like a maybe like 14-year-old boy, or maybe
not that young, but yeah, they're definitely.
He's a little bit smaller, a little bit leaner than the one we're used to.
And then we have this 1 in 25 Salvador LaRocca cover that we're selling for $9.99. That's a good deal for a 1 in 25.
Yeah, so there's so much stuff that, when we do these videos, we skate around. But one of our big kind of what we consider our jobs here is just getting you excited
Yeah.
about reading this, knowing,
And you should be excited about these books. Yeah.
yeah, knowing, hey, there's something, and I want to find out what that
Yeah.
is. We're dangling the lure in front of you, and it's up to you to bite.
Yeah.
So next up, I've got our final one shot of the J. Michael Straczynski presents a bunch of characters that don't normally hanging out together.
That should be the
It's
full.
crazy they called it that.
I know, it's weird.
I felt like you could say that a little bit more concise. But this one is Spider-Man versus the Sinister 16 by J. Michael Straczynski, and the art is by Phil Noto. And it did, you mentioned earlier that like Phil Noto, it does seem like a weird pick for art on here. This is not known for his action. He kind of has a more stiff, like, talking scenes, that kind of thing. He does really well. But there's a reason for that, because in this, Peter and Mary Jane, because in this they are together and very much in love, which is a very nice thing to see.
When Marvel Editorial finds out that this was published, they are going to be mad because Peter and MJ are super duper in love with each other, and they show it. Yeah,
they say it to each other
multiple times.
Multiple times. Yeah,
Marvel's going to be.
This is a rebel of a book.
Yeah, Marvel's going to be ticked.
So they've got invitations or reservations at this really fancy Italian restaurant in New York. People have been on the list to get in for months. Finally, Peter got in, maybe with the help of a certain Tony Stark, and how he worked that out is pretty funny. But they're finally going to have a nice meal together, kind of a real proper date. And they sit down, but who's also at the restaurant? It's She-Hulk and Thor. What are they doing there? Apparently, they've also been on the wait list for a very long time. And Peter's like, like, I think in this, Thor knows that Peter's Spider-Man. She-Hulk does not know that Peter's Spider-Man.
That's right.
So he's having to kind of balance that, introducing them to MJ. He's like, it's fine, but we're just gonna get back to our meal. Well, someone else walks in the door. We have Doc Ock and his date, which, of course, there's a great page where they have a stare down, where Peter looks over, and that's really, really fun. But again, more and more familiar faces show up at this restaurant, including Doctor Strange is with Clea. They show up. Otto, Loki with 2 dates. Magneto, which is really funny when he shows up. What is going on? Why are all these heroes at this place at the same time? You may be thinking this must be a big villain plot or something, but it may be something else. Is it a coincidence, or is there a reason why all of this is going down? You'll have to read to find out, but this is definitely, there is some action in it, but it's mostly a very fun look at these characters trying not to get in fights.
Yeah, right.
They all want to have a pleasant meal, but the question is, can they all coexist inside of this restaurant and not tear the entire place down? And there's actually a moment that is very funny involving Kingpin and him getting wine spilled on his nice white suit that could have gone really bad, but maybe it doesn't. So I really like this issue. It is not like a action-packed, huge event. It's a really kind of fun character study of all of these characters in the room at the same time, not fighting. So I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I recommend this one. It's kind of sad to see this series of one-shots end, because they've all been pretty fun and kind of breath of fresh air against the heavy continuity of some of the other series coming out. There's a letter at the end. Did you read that?
I think so, yeah.
Where Straczynski talked about some stuff that was left on the table,
oh, yeah,
including
a
Wolverine Ant-Man story. I was like, oh, I'd love to have seen that.
Yeah.
I think there's another one he mentions as well. I think we maybe get another series of these.
Like a volume 2.
A volume 2, because I love these. They take place at some point in some timeline with some continuity, but they're just fun standalone character stories that we don't get a whole lot of anymore. So, highly recommend Spider-Man versus the Sinister 16. There is your A cover. We have this Phil Noto variant. That's your interior artist. I love this
I like that one. Yeah.
Nick Bradshaw variant. And that is it.
All right. Well, next up, I've got DC's Kal-El-Fornia Love. I nearly did it again. On accident. DC's Kal-El-Fornia Love #1. This is a one-shot, and it's a big square-bound one-shot that, it's got a spine on it and everything. And this is just a one-shot that features 8 different stories, 8 different little quick, fun, one-and-done stories of various members of the Superman family having madcap adventures while they're on vacation, or at least out when they're out in California. So just to tell you about a couple of them, there is a story from Brian Q. Miller and Gerardo Sandoval featuring Superman, where this giant monster falls from space and swallows Lois Lane and 2 children, and Superman has to save them. But the way he does it is a little bit unconventional. There's a story about the gorilla ex-wife of Jimmy Olsen from Christoph Bojax and Jacoby Salcedo. And it actually harkens back to Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 98, from back in 1966, with Jimmy's gorilla ex-wife Bruna. She is the star of a new movie, and Jimmy wants to get some exclusive pictures of her for the Daily Planet, but her boyfriend / manager, Gorilla Grodd, won't allow it. And so Jimmy and Grodd engage in a series of guerrilla games for the rights to get the pictures. There's a story with Power Girl. There's a story with Supergirl. There's a story with Steel. There's a cool story with Lois Lane about she actually goes on this true crime podcast that she criticized because of the way that they reported on a certain murder, but they criticize her for being kind of an old school journalist that's sort of obsolete and isn't needed anymore. And so that's a cool little like head to head that Lois Lane has. There's a story with Superboy about John and Connor both teaming up to save a mutated animal that's created by Cadmus, trying to save that animal from Argus. So yeah, and there's a Bizarro story called Against the Wind, where Bizarro wants to audition to play Superman in a new Superman movie, and he just trying so hard to be Superman, and it's actually really touching. It's probably the most like sentimental, like pulling on your heartstrings story in this book. But yeah, just a fun, big, thick one shot full of these fun little stories with very super characters. And I had a good time with it. So there's our A cover right here, and we've got some cool variants. This is the Takara variant with Supergirl. That's a great one. And then we have this Asrar variant with Power Girl.
Well, next up, I've got a lot of Marvel books this week. This is Bring on the Bad Guys, Loki, #1. Our next one shot in the Bring on the Bad Guys series. This one is by Anthony Oliveira, and the art is by Jethro Morales. I really like this one. This is, of course, this series sees Mephisto trying to kind of reignite the Soul Forge, which will give him like the ability to, I guess it's not specific, but it's kind of like control all the souls on Earth,
or for the most part,
in charge of them or something like that. But to do that, he has to kill descendants of some of the original creators of the Soul Forge. And in this one, Loki has really screwed up. We don't know 100% what he did, but it almost seems like maybe he's bringing on Ragnarok too soon.
Yeah.
And he is
classic Loki. Am I right? Loki.
He's kind of at his at the end of his rope, and he goes to Mephisto. Mephisto says, "Hey, I can turn back the clock a little bit. You'll be good. I just need you to do one little job for me." And that job is part of this story about the Soul Forge. There's just a young guy he needs that's a descendant of Khonshu that he wants Loki to go take out using one of the daggers of the Soul Forge.
Yeah, for a minute I was like, "Oh, are they going to pull in Mark Spector to this?" But no, it doesn't have anything to do.
And Loki's like, "That's like, I have no morals. That's like no problem for me." So he goes back to 1895, and I believe it's in Paris.
I think so.
I think you see the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And while he's there, he sees who his target is, which is a young guy who is playing the violin out on the street and singing. But what he's singing is very weird. It's very dark and cryptic and doesn't is not a very traditional sounding song. And Loki is mesmerized by this song. And he's the god of stories. He's the god of that kind of thing. And he goes up to him and he starts to think maybe I could prolong this guy's death a little bit because I want to know more about what this is he's singing about. And turns out this guy dreams these lyrics, and Loki goes, "I want to put on a play with you headlining this with the stuff that you write." Well, sounds all really weird till you realize that the play that they are putting on and the words that this guy has dreamed up are The King in Yellow, which is the classic Robert W. Chambers story book from 1895, a like precursor to Lovecraft, a big inspiration for Lovecraft is The King in Yellow. If you know anything about that story, it's a book of short stories, and they all kind of center around this play. And if you read the script, no one's ever made it past the second page because it fundamentally changes who you are once you get past those pages. And even in the stories, you only hear about two of those pages in the story. Deals with Carcosa. The first season of True Detective.
Oh, the story is about the play.
Yeah, the story's
okay.
about the play.
Okay.
The first season of True Detective is loosely based on The King in Yellow.
Wow.
So this is really cool.
I didn't know any of this reading this book. I was like,
that's why
okay,
I love this, because this is right down my genre.
I had no idea of any of this. I was like, yeah, that just sounds cool.
Yeah, no, this is really cool because it's about that play that is so cursed and otherworldly. So he wants to put that on because he realizes, because of what happens in this play, he thinks a portal will open and that something even darker and more powerful than even Mephisto is beyond that. And he thinks I can take control of that. Maybe by doing this play, I can open this up and I can take control of that. And so he is going to help put on this otherworldly cursed play, all the while working this person basically to death, dreaming and coming up with the script and everything. I don't know. I really like this because that is completely my wheelhouse of like some Robert Chambers classic stories and the weird fiction and everything that was based in a real story, a real world book that came out and basing it on the story within there. I thought this was awesome. So if you're a fan of like weird tales, classic, that kind of stuff, you will love this. I really liked it, and I think where it ends is also really, really fun in a classic Loki fashion. Um, Plus, there is the backup story in here as well by Mark Guggenheim about Sister Sorrow and her origin and kind of her first job she took on for Mephisto. So yeah, I thought this was really, really fun, and I've enjoyed this Bring on the Bad Guys so far. I think all of them have had, to varying degrees, but have all been really entertaining and fun. And I wouldn't mind seeing more villain-centric stories.
Yeah.
So that is Bring on the Bad Guys Loki. Hopefully I gave you enough context where maybe you understand what's going on a little bit more now. That is your A cover. We also have this Nogi-san variant with Sister Sorrow, which I still think in that last issue she's going to be the one who takes on Mephisto.
Oh, I think so,
I feel like they're building that up. We also have this Romy Jones variant, and that's what Loki appears like when he is in 1895 and to this guy, so he doesn't look like the horned god he is. We also have fantastic Todd Knock variant, one of the icon variants. And we have this 1 in 25 Ramcharon variant. We're selling for $24.99. Which Thor may appear in one tiny panel, but I'm not sure. Maybe in a flashback or something. But this is a pretty Loki-centric issue.
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about Speed Racer #1 from Mad Cave. But before we do, I gotta get into the parts.
Get into character.
Yeah, because this is really cool. So yeah, Mad Cave actually sent me some. Yeah, Mad Cave actually sent me some merch, some swag for the new Speed Racer #1.
So when you're going really fast in your Mach 5, that can be blowing behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird to do it backwards. All right. So this is the new Speed Racer #1 from Mad Cave. This is written by David Pepose. The art is by David Tinto. And this is a modern take on Speed Racer, but it still has a lot of the familiar trappings from the original anime, the original manga. And this issue opens up with a street race that Speed has entered that's using Formula X rules, which means that every car brings its own X factor to the race. So, weapons and gadgets and things like that. And it's a thrilling race, but after the race is over, Pops finds out that Speed was involved and forbids him from using the Mach 5 again. And Speed is really upset about this. He's like, Pops, I want to, I want to do more races because, we're financially not in a good spot. We nearly lost the house. I can win these races and help save our family basically. But Pops, and if you know the story of Speed Racer, they think that Speed's brother Rex Racer, who is Racer X, they think that he died, right? So Pops is like, no racing for you. So Speed gets mad and goes off to a diner where he meets Trixie. So all these familiar characters are in here. But while Speed is gone, some thugs from Tiger Syndicate show up to Pops' garage and want him to build a new engine for their boss. But of course, Pops refuses this. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So they beat him to a pulp, basically, and he has a heart attack. But thankfully, Speed does get home in time, just enough in time to rush him to the hospital. But that is only the beginning of all of their troubles. That's kind of like what sets up this whole big thing in the first place. So this is a really fun, action-packed book. It's got some really good artwork. Like there's a couple of different racing scenes in here, which is what you want from Speed Racer. The Mach 5 is using the gadgets that you know from the anime.
Blades that come out like saw blades.
Yeah, it does. And if you read the free comic book day book of this, some of it will be familiar. And what's even cooler than that is that there is going to be a separate Racer X series that starts in September that runs parallel to this series, and we get a little tiny bit of a tease of that in this issue as well. So, hot on the heels of what do we have? Thundercats and Silverhawks and Johnny Quest and Space Ghosts and all that other stuff. We now have a new Speed Racer book, and it's really, really fun. And I can't wait to see I want him to actually get into the big races
with all the other cars.
Yeah, because right now it's just like street racing, which is fun. But when he gets in the big stuff, that's what I think is going to be really exciting. So we have our A cover right here, and then we've got this. Hold on. This is the the Sean Galloway variant. How classic does that look? That looks great. I guess he wears his bandana the other way. I guess I have it on backwards. This is the Sebastian Perez variant, working on the Mach 5 right there. This is the blank sketch variant. I don't know who drew that one. This is the 1 in 10 Chris Batista variant. We're selling that one for $7.99, and that one's cool because it kind of looks like a racing magazine. And then we have this really cool 1 in 20 Ken variant that we're selling for $9.99. Really fun new book.
Well, moving on with some Star Wars. This is Star Wars: The High Republic, the finale, #1. This is a one-shot that wraps up basically the final part of all of the High Republic stories. So, the books and the shows and the comics and the junior novelizations, everything. This is the last part of that. Now, it's not the last story that's going to be told during the High Republic, because that's just a time frame that stories can take place. But this story involving the Nile, the Nameless, the Blight, all of that stuff that we've been learning about, and the Dringir, is all over here. So this does take place after the final novel, and the final novel is by Charles Soule. This is by Cavan Scott and Marika Cresta, and this is fun. So if you have been reading the High Republic comics, you definitely want to get this, because this is, the not really a post-credit scene, but where are they going now? The ones that survived, what is next for them, because like any story, they've come out of this whole ordeal very changed. And we see some familiar faces from the comics, the books, and even some from the show. One of the shows that takes place during the High Republic, which I was really excited to see. But all that to say, this is very important if you are going to, if you've been reading the High Republic and you want to finish it off with a capstone, that is what this is. Um, Now there is another High Republic story that is coming out after this by me in the Young Jedi Adventures book. There is one story that takes place during, I guess it's not really part of the High Republic overarching story, but it is set in a High Republic and it's not out yet, and that will be out in December in the hardcover for Young Jedi Adventures, uh, the collection that has a new story in it. Just plugging myself.
Shameless, you're shameless.
Yeah. But this was really fun, and I was happy to see where some of the characters ended up. So there is your A cover. We have this Giuseppe Camicoli variant.
I remember that cover from Comics from the Future.
Yeah.
I like that cover a lot.
We also have the Sprouse. This is the Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary. This is number 1 of 10, so we're just starting this new one. And we have a 1 in, I'm not sure, I think it's a 1 in 25, and a Dito variant we're selling for $24.99.
Okay, I've got an interesting one to talk about, and this is God's One World Under Doom. This is a one-shot that ties into, obviously, the One World Under Doom storyline. Now, if I'm being honest, I wasn't super thrilled to read this one at first because I didn't really enjoy the Gods 8-issue miniseries from about a year ago. I thought it was a little bit confusing. I didn't really know what the purpose of it was. I am happy to say that I really, really, really did enjoy this issue quite a bit. So this issue starts with Wynn. If you read the God series, you know Wynn. He and his apprentice Mia, or he barges in on her and tells her that they need to go see Doctor Doom. Now, if you were to read the solicitation, you would think, oh, because the solicitation makes you think that Wynn has a plan for stopping Doctor Doom from being the Sorcerer Supreme, from stopping him from taking over the world. None of that is true. Wynn doesn't really seem to care at all. He's like, I don't really care who's the Sorcerer Supreme. What he does want to make sure of, though, is that whoever is the Sorcerer Supreme is fulfilling all of their Sorcerer Supreme duties. And there is one that Doom has kind of let slip. So Wynn and Mia, they actually just transport themselves right into Doctor Doom's inner sanctum. They just show. He's like, "What the heck?" They just kind of show up there. So Wynn tells Doom that there are these magical sigils in the sun's core that keep certain demons away from the sun, and if those sigils break or if they vanish, then these demons would devour the sun, and that would destroy life in the entire solar system. Kind of a big deal. So from here, Doom and Wynn and Mia concoct this plan to travel into the sun to reignite these magical sigils there before these demons can get to it. But obviously, I'm not going to tell you what happens or not. But yeah, this was actually really, really good. What I like most about this is that we get a lot of Doctor Doom in here, which I think he's probably we get more of him in this one issue than we've probably gotten in the entire One World Under Doom series so far. Because, a lot of those books are about the heroes trying to get into that barrier, trying to stop him. Doom is front and center in this through the whole way. And it's the real Doom. It's not a Doom bottle, like it's the real thing. And this book also does a great job showing that Doom is not just a mustache twirling villain, that he can actually be sort of kind and heroic when he wants to be. And we see that in how taken he is with Mia. Like, he's actually quite fond of her. He thinks that she has this immense potential, but she's being held back by Wynn. He even shows her some magical things, like teaches her a little bit of things that Wynn has never bothered to show her. And she actually even mentioned, she's like, this is kind of weird because I've heard so many bad things about Doom, but he's actually kind of nice, and he seems like he's like being really cool to me. So, and he is like, it's not for any ulterior motive really. He's just like, I think you have a lot of potential. You should break free of Wynn, and you can be my apprentice. And so this doesn't really do much to add to the main One World Under Doom story, But it's actually a really fun book. If you are a fan of Doctor Doom, I think you'll like this because, like I said, he's front and center. He's casting spells. He's doing stuff to help save the galaxy, which we've talked about before. Like, Doom is a bad guy, but he does what's best for Doom, and what's best for Doom here is to save the sun so that he can save the galaxy. So he's going to help save the planet. So really, really cool. I like this one a lot, and I could have read more of it, but just a one shot. And this is the only cover that we have.
Next up, another one shot. I guess that's kind of the fifth Wednesday of the month type thing.
Right.
You get a bunch of one shots. But this is Werewolf by Night, #1. I love Werewolf by Night, so I'm always happy when he gets a little spotlight, like the Marvel special presentation of Werewolf by Night that we got quite a few years ago now, which I still watch every Halloween because it is so good.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things Marvel's done.
Have you watched the one in color?
Nope. So
I haven't either.
It's just so good in black and white. It works so well. And how is that related to this? This is by the director of that, Michael Giacchino, who's also a famed composer for film. So it's really cool to get a little bit of
Fantastic Four music.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he's all up on Marvel now with everything. But this is by Michael Giacchino, and David Messina does the art. There is a backup story in here by Jason Liu, who's done a lot of the recent Werewolf by Night stories. But in this, Jack Russell awakens in what he originally thinks is like his kind of panic room that he puts himself in when he knows he's going to transform into Werewolf by Night. Because he doesn't remember what happens when he transforms. He just, kind of like classic Hulk, when he just like wakes up places. And he's very fearful that he has done something bad. Well, in particular this time, because he wakes up, there is a piece of clothing or something laying next to him covered in blood, and he said, "That's not my blood." And he goes up to his, he's got a code that he puts in to open the door, and his password doesn't work. But the door then opens from the other side. Who is it but Dracula? And he soon realizes, this is not my little panic room. Dracula has me in his castle or in some place keeping me. And Dracula is kind of, he's not telling too much about why he has him there. It's more Jack Russell being like, you gotta let me out of here. It's not safe when I transform. And Dracula's like, you're about to transform again very soon. And I have use for you. So Dracula has some plan with Werewolf by Night, but right when Jack Russell is about to transform again, he hears a little voice in his head that kind of calms him. It helps him maintain some of his humanity so he doesn't fully transform. I think he calls himself like Half Jack or something like that.
Oh, why couldn't it be Flat Jack?
So he's looks more like, he doesn't go full like werewolf. He looks more like the Werewolf by Night, the original, that's a little bit more human, a little bit more like the the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman. And with this, he thinks I can actually kind of dupe Dracula a little bit, where he thinks I'm not in control, but I can use that to my advantage. And soon learns that maybe he is not the only one being held captive within this castle. But what is Dracula planning on doing with these characters that he has there? We don't really know. And this does have the end with a question mark, because I feel like there could be more to the story coming up that we do not know about yet.
I would love more for more of this story to come out in October.
Yeah.
Around Halloween.
This would be a great follow-up, because it does seem like maybe something bigger and badder is coming that Dracula needs help with. So I hope we get that series. I hope it's like a, monster-themed mini event just within some one-shots, some Halloween-themed stuff. But this was really cool. If you're a fan of Werewolf by Night, you'll definitely like this one. And like I said, there is a backup story written and drawn by Jason Liu. So don't miss out on this one. This was really cool. It's called Blood Moon Rise, but you could just call it whatever. It's just a Werewolf by Night.
Just don't call me late for dinner. You know what I'm saying?
So there is your A cover. We have this Casanovas variant featuring a bunch of characters who are not in this. There is no Avengers in here.
That is a little weird, yeah.
And we also have this Ian Joyner Marvel TV show concept art variant for Werewolf by Night.
All right, well, next I have got one of my favorite books from Marvel. This is Spider-Man and Wolverine. This is the 3rd issue. And in this one, Spider-Man and Wolverine find themselves in the Savage Land being hunted by Kraven. And also somebody else who I think is a brand new villain.
I think so.
I've never seen them before, and Spider-Man and Wolverine didn't seem to know who that villain was either. So I think this is a first appearance of a new character. So Peter is, they're running through the jungle, trying to get away from Kraven, but Peter's still upset about the revelation that Wolverine may have killed his parents. But Wolverine tells him again that, listen, man, I don't remember much of my life from that time. What I do remember is being their friend, is them being my friend. So I honestly don't know if I killed them or not, and you don't know either. So let's just focus on the task at hand. Let's get out of this Savage Land. And also, I should say, they don't know how they got to the Savage Land, and they don't know why but they are wearing these costumes, and they don't know why they're wearing them.
Yeah, Spider-Man does say, like, this isn't like my symbiote suit. This is like my classic black costume. And it's like, I don't know, someone who captured you is also fans of those costumes like we are.
Yeah, it must have been me, I guess, because I love both of these suits for both these characters. So they don't know why they're there. They don't know why they're in those costumes, but they do know that they're being hunted by Kraven and some other villain. And it's one just big, just like last issue, it's one big brutal action scene with amazing artwork, and the mystery progresses as to who's pulling the strings to all this anyway. And we do see, no spoilers, don't worry, but we do see at the end of the issue what they'll be doing next issue.
Yeah.
And maybe who they'll be taking on and that kind of thing. So it almost seems like they're running some kind of gauntlet. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're not supposed to know yet. Like, that's a big mystery. We don't know who's controlling everything or why, but it sure is fun to read about because big action, awesome artwork. Like this.
I mean, they're in the Savage Land. They're being chased by a T-Rex.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Oh my gosh, Wolverine has some great moments involving dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. So holy cow. So definitely recommend this if you just want like just something fun, action packed, something you can just kind of check your brain at the door. Like this is the book for you.
There's the old non-stop Spider-Man series.
Yeah.
This is more non-stop than that was.
It really is.
This feels like they don't stop moving.
That's right. And it's it's so good. So this is our A cover right here, and we have this Dan Panosian variant, nice little homage, but with a different character. And then we have this 1 in 25 Hans variant. We're selling this one for $24.99.
Yeah, that's such a good series.
Yeah.
It just gives you exactly what you want.
It's fun. You don't need to know anything about anything.
Yeah.
Just read it and have fun.
And the Spider-Man in there is about as tough as you've seen Spider-Man in a long time.
Yep.
Okay, next up, I have Gehenna, Naked Aggression #2. Talk about non-stop. That is kind of the point of this series. And it's in the letters page, too, by the writer. This is not a story that's trying to tell you some, it's not supposed to be...
like some profound work or anything?
Some profound work or be symbolic for something else. This is just pure action, fun, over the top. If you get anything else out of it, that's you getting that out of it, not intended. He just wanted to make a fun series. So it's another action-filled issue as Gehenna is still hunted, although we do get a bit more about why she's being hunted. And that was in the original solicitation, that maybe even who's hunting her is not the person that she wronged, or that, because her husband got killed and then she got revenge on them. That's not who's chasing her now. It's because she's been kind of on the run so long that the contract out on her has been bought and sold so many times that people chasing her now don't even really know why they're doing it, other than there's a contract.
Yeah, they just want the money, basically.
They just want the money. So that really kind of throws a fun spin on it. There's some really fun moments in this where she got really injured in the last one, so she barges into a veterinary office, and like patches herself up in that using their tools and everything. But there's big explosions, there's all that. But a weird thing that happens in here is apparently there's superheroes in this world,
Right.
which the first issue did not allude to at
Yep.
all. But there is someone who has found out about all this going on, and you'll see them on the cover of the incentive. But it kind of throws a new, weird little spin on this story when you learn that there's very funny themed heroes. So read it if you like it. It's funny. It's a teen plus book, but some of the variants, like there's a polybag variant, are very not teen plus, and it shows that variant in this issue, which I think would immediately make this not teen plus. But so
Oh, you mean like teen as in younger than 18, right?
I guess, yeah.
Like maybe they should be like 16 or 18.
Yeah, it
and
just feels
older?
like this should be like a mature title.
Right, okay, gotcha.
Because
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of fun. I have been enjoying it, and I just like that there's a book that's just, it's kind of like the independent comic version of Spider-Man Wolverine that's like, it's just action. Just have fun with it. So here's your A cover, which that is one of the characters who is hunting Gehenna. We also have this Nick Pitara cover. And we have, like I said, there is a polybagged cover, not for anyone but an adult.
Not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. Oh, and like that incentive I mentioned, this is the, I think this is a 1 in 10 or maybe a 1 in 15. I'm not sure the artist on it. We're selling for $14.99, but that character on the front, that is Public Defender, and he seems to be, he's gonna play a part in this. He kind of reminds me of like Ace Attorney.
Yeah.
That character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next because it just got crazy.
All right, next, I just want to talk about the Nightwing annual real quick. This is from Dan Waters and Francesco Francavilla. Let me say real quick that Nightwing is not in this issue, and I do not recommend getting this issue if you have not been reading the current Nightwing story from when Dan Waters took over at the start of the All In. If you haven't been reading that, you will be really, really, really lost in here. But if you have been reading it, this is a really, really good issue because it's all about Maggie Sawyer investigating who Olivia Pierce really is. And that's kind of been a big lingering question ever since Dan Waters took over the book is, you know, Olivia Pierce with Spheric Solutions, I believe, came into Bloodhaven. But we always knew there was something more to her, and we get a lot of answers about that in here. We finally learn who she really is and what the Zani really is. And I'm not going to go into what, you know, explaining that, but if you've been reading it, you know. And it's actually kind of meta because it involves this Frederick Wortham type character, or at least in the past, who was, you know, railing against comics and saying these need to be censored and we need a code to police what's in these books. And in the story of Olivia Pierce and the Zanny and who they are, how they relate to each other, it actually is centered around comic books, at least in a little bit of a way anyway. So yeah, if you have been reading Nightwing, pick this one up because we get a lot of answers in here that I definitely want to see play out in the main book. But it was really interesting. No Nightwing at all, but still a really, really cool story. And this is the only cover that we have.
Well, the opposite of what you said about that one. This is the Titans 2025 annual. And you could read this one if you hadn't read any of the Titan series so far, because this is by Phil Jimenez, who does the writing and the art. If you're not familiar with Phil Jimenez, he's basically like he's been working in the industry forever.
Oh, yeah.
But also, he's like, if you watch DC documentaries or comic book documentaries, he is an aficionado on specifically Wonder Woman, but comics in general.
Mm-hmm.
And his art style is very reminiscent of George Perez. He is kind of a disciple of George Perez. So you get a lot of panels per page, but with a little bit thinner line, a little bit more realistic proportions, that kind of thing. But this issue I love. And I don't know if necessarily this issue will be for everybody, but as a longtime DC fan, a longtime fan of Titans, Teen Titans, all of that, this really was great. So this is a Donna Troy centric issue. And what's interesting about Donna Troy is she may be one of the most, um, I mean, you would call her confusing origin characters because of so many people rewriting her. Is she from Themyscira? Is she not? It's been all over the
Yeah.
place. People consider her and Power Girl, and I forgot who the other one was. There's like three characters. It's like, oh, and Hawkman.
Hawkman, I was gonna say, yeah.
No one has really nailed down a definitive origin. I think Phil Jimenez does a great job at distilling all of that into one story for Donna Troy. In this, she has discovered and has been having correspondence with her real father. And her real father is human, and she is going to meet him for the first time. You know, she's an adult woman now. You know, she's been through the Teen Titans, she's been through the Titans, she is an adult, and she's basically writing a letter to him, or letters. I don't know if it's one or multiple, but basically telling her entire story about when she was a baby. There was a fire. She was rescued by Wonder Woman, taken to Themyscira, and it was adopted by Hippolyta, and basically became Wonder Woman's like kind of surrogate sister. Uh, Always trying to live up to that mantle. This was before she had powers, so she always felt like Hippolyta loved Wonder Woman more than her. But you know, she learned that wasn't true, and you see how Donna Troy gets her powers in this, and then goes and joins the Teen Titans, where she creates a lasting friendship with Dick Grayson,
Mhm.
who basically becomes her like her brother figure. Which is, you know, she talks about like, you know, w- was it ever going to be more than that? No, I just see him as a brother. And her first kiss is with Dick Grayson as Robin, but she's like, yep, that doesn't work. You know,
That was weird.
uh, but it goes through Donna Troy's entire life and all of her friends that she made, and her, you know, telling her dad about like all these found families she had. But she's always struggled with that. What is her origin? Where does she belong? She's kind of a woman of two worlds with Themyscira and the human world. But when she gets there to her father's house, things are things get more complex as she she learns more of her backstory on her father's side, and maybe why he wasn't there through her life. This is a very emotional story. This was a great, like, definitive origin for Donna Troy, where it worked in all of the different elements. The art is fantastic. There is action scenes in the flashbacks from her with Wonder Woman, the Teen Titans, the Titans. Uh, you know, like Roy Harper hitting on her when she was a member of the Teen Titans, which was really funny. Just all the friendships she made. I really, really like this. Some people might not, because it is. It took me a while to read this. This almost felt like a graphic novel
Yeah,
by the time I
pretty
got
dense.
done with it.
Yeah.
It's very dense, a lot of panels per page. But if you are a fan of Donna Troy or the Titans, this is, I feel like, a must read to get that full story. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So this is your A cover. This is your Daniel Sampere cover.
I didn't get the chance to read this. I took it home. I didn't have a time to read it, but I just wanted to flip through
Let's
it.
see here.
Oh yeah, that's
Like,
great. Yeah.
it's really, really fun. I'm sure there's a lot of references to
Yeah,
actual stories I'm just not aware of.
The artwork is beautiful.
Beautiful,
I mean, good
and
grief.
there's like 9 to 12 panels.
I'll show you one. Like, I mean, that just looks fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, this I would almost have loved this as a like square bound
Yeah.
graphic novel, or maybe collect that with, you know, her first appearance or something, to give me like a collected edition, because that's the thing I do kind of want on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's really important.
Yeah, that's nice.
We also have this Joelle Jones variant showing all the different stages of her life.
All right, I'm up. I've got The Thing #3, and if you are like me, you are still riding high on Fantastic Four First Steps, and you're wanting to read everything Fantastic Four related, well, this is the only one that's coming out this week. And this is the 3rd issue in this miniseries, but I just want to let you know it's coming out this week. In this one, Ben is able to rescue Marty's niece, which is what he's been trying to do this whole miniseries. He's able to rescue her from the clutches of Hammerhead and I don't know what my notes said of Hammerhead and agent her to safety and get her to safety. I think is what I meant.
Okay.
So he basically rescues Marty's niece, but the Kingpin is not happy because the Kingpin wants the niece, I think, but we don't know why yet. But because he is not happy that the Thing was able to save her, so he puts a $10 million bounty on Ben's head, and some interesting villains show up trying to collect. The end of this issue, I won't tell you what it is, but the last page of this issue makes me really want to read the next one. And the beginning of the series, that $10 million bounty had already been put out there, and then the book was playing catch up to get to that point. So now we've caught up now, and I really want to read the next issue with how this book ended. So just want to let you know that #3 is coming out this week. If you've been buying the other two, don't miss it. It's a lot of fun. So there's your A cover. And we have this I like this one a lot. This is the Pete Woods variant, and you can see he's I don't know if it's blurry, but he's human form, and he's kind of like transforming into the Thing. It's really cool.
Well, the Thing ring did
Thing ring do your thing, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that. Next up, I've got Star Wars Hyperspace Stories Tides of Terror. This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. Like a lot of the Hyperspace Story stuff now. This one is written by George Mann, and Luis Morocho does the art. And this follows Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, and Shock T, and Kit Fisto's Padawan as they go to a research facility on this planet called Tortoise that's a water planet. One side of the people on the planet are working on excavating an underwater kind of dig site where there's a previously unknown civilization down there. But the other side worry about the effects on the aquatic life there and what they might stir up if they do this. And the Jedi go in thinking they're going to be playing diplomat, but turn out they're going to be dealing with some sea monsters. So really fun first issue. Like I said, it's going to be a 4-issue mini-series from Dark Horse Hyperspace Stories. Here is your A cover. We also have this Bach cover with Kit Fisto. And I really like this one. This is the Edwin Gallman
That's really
variant.
Cool. All right, my last one. I just wanted to talk about this because this is an achievement in comic book storytelling, comic book craft. This is Assorted Crisis Events #5. And if you've been reading this series, you know that every issue of this series can be read at any point in time. I think I missed issues 3 and 4, but I didn't need to read those because each one of these stories is one and done. And there's this time anomaly that's like affecting the world, and each issue is just a different story of a different character and how it's affecting them. So in this book, this young girl gets stuck in a time loop for what seems like eternity. And she does get out of that loop, but it really affects her a lot, and she has to sort of relearn how to do everything. And she becomes obsessed with trying to understand this time loop. But what's really cool about this is the visuals, because every single page is told in a loop. And sometimes you even have to rotate the book to read it, and not every page looks the same with some kind of loop. Like there's different ways that they depict time looping, and it's just very visually, it's extremely creative. There is not another book out there like this right now when it comes to visual storytelling and that kind of thing. And every different issue has had some kind of hook to it, and this one is all about loops and circles and time, and how you start in one place but you always come back around to that spot. And no, I won't tell you that. But yeah, just a really cool, innovative book, and you could even read this if you haven't read any of the other ones, because again, these issues are not sequential; they're their own stories. of just these weird time anomalies. So it's really, really cool to see. So I just wanted to put some love out there for it. So there's your A cover right there, and we have this Polito variant as well.
Next up, I've got Marvel or Disney Marvel. What if Goofy became Spider-Man? Number one. This is a lot like the other What If Disney books. This is by Steve Bailing and the art is by Ricardo Sesci. And this is the final issue of these What If stories with the Disney characters,
Oh, really?
the Marvel characters.
Oh, yeah, weird. How do we know that?
It says it in here.
Oh, okay.
There's been a lot of them. It's going to be collected in a What If style book. Nice. They talk about that. But in this, you know the story. Goofy lives with his aunt. It's not Aunt May, but it's Aunt something else. He's actually studying entomology at school, and when his aunt finds a spider in the attic, he thinks, I'm going to bring that to school, and I'm going to, because he looks at it, he's like, oh, this is like an undiscovered species of spider. I'm going to win all these awards, and they're going to name it after me, and all that. But he brings it to school, and he slips up, it falls in this experiment that's being they're doing. It gets shot with these rays, and of course it bites him in the hand, and he turns into Spider Goofy. So really fun. It's the classic story, you know, but I do feel like they add enough unique elements that it's not just a copy paste of the original Spider-Man story. But if you've been enjoying these, this is another really fun one, and it's not Donald Duck in the protagonist space.
Right, yeah.
It's Goofy, so you get a little shake up there. So there's your A cover. We've got our Scotty Young cover. And we have this Fichero cover, which I think that's going to be the cover of the trade.
Nice. I like it.
It has all of the What If characters.
I'm out. I'm done, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to rapid fire. Next up, I have Savage Wolverine, number one. This is just a one-shot that's collecting the Marvel Unlimited series of Savage Wolverine. So if you read that on there, this is what that is. It's a collection of that, but in physical form. If you haven't read it, it's just a one-shot. It doesn't really tie in too much with anything else. It's just a oversized Wolverine one-shot. So we've got that one there, and just the one cover for that. We also have Mega Man X Timelines. This is our next of the Mega Man Timeline stories. And this one, of course, is about in the time frame of Mega Man X. So this is, I forgot what year this game came out.
Wasn't that like 2000 or
yeah,
late 90s?
It's late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of people, this is their favorite one. This one's by Daniel Arsenault, and I love the art in here. It's by Edwin Huang, who did Skull Kickers with Jim Zub, which was one of the first Image series I collected when it came out. It is so much fun, but his art in this is great. And it does tease at the end that we are getting a Mega Man X ongoing series in the fall.
Ooh, okay.
So I wonder if that's kind of what all this is leading to.
Yeah.
But this doesn't seem tied in with any of the other ones other than they're all just Mega Man related. There is your A cover for that. Here is your
I like this one.
Huang variant. That's your interior artist. We've got a blank sketch cover. Draw your own Mega Man. We've got this Steinbeck cover, which is very cool. And we have this, I think this is a 1 in 5. This is the Cruise variant. We're selling for $7.99. And then finally, I did not get a chance to read it, but I know there's a lot of fans for this out there, and I wanted to shout out Monster High World Scare. There's so many fans of Monster High, and we talk about a lot of superheroes and fantasy and horror and all that, but there is another audience out there, and that is for more fun books, and this is one of them. So I wanted to shout this out. This is a new mini-series. There is your A cover for that. And we have this Sterl variant. That's really nice. And a Kathy Lee variant that we're selling for $19.99. And that is it. There are some big books, even though it was the 5th Wednesday of the month, which usually means not much.
Didn't feel like it.
Didn't feel like it. I felt like I read a lot of comics this week.
Oh, yeah.
But thankfully, they were really good. So head on over to infinityflux.net right now where you can order these books while supplies last. And some of these books, we may only have a couple of copies of. So if one of them interests you, make sure you order that. Whether you pick it up in the store or you get it mailed to you. Either way, we don't want you to miss out on stuff that you think you will really like.
Yep.
So stay tuned for our shows coming up on Wednesday, where we're doing our In a Flash show about upcoming orders, or our Comics from the Future show coming up, where we talk about upcoming orders, but longer. And
but more, yeah.
But we're also going to try to have a bonus letters page show on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about all the announcements from San Diego Comic-Con that just wrapped up. And there's a lot of really great ones that we can't wait to dig into.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about our predictions from our last video to this one, and what we are most excited for. Kind of focusing on the comic aspect of it.
Yeah.
And tons of people talk about the movies and all that. We may mention them, but we are comic focused over here. Let us know what you're most excited about for this week's worth of books, and what news that just broke at San Diego Comic-Con you're excited about. Let us know in the comments. We love talking to you about all of that. And until next time, see ya.